Well, it's Nigel again. Actually, they are coming up the road. They're being accompanied by police officers. So, here we go. Here we go, Simon. It looks a bit thin on the ground this week. What I'm going to do this week is stand in the middle of the road.
Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea!
How you doing?
Alright.
Okay. Are these phones? Oh, you got an iPhone as well?
I have.
Very good. What do they do when they do this? Do
They blocked me on Facebook last week. Do you know that? Did you?
No, I
Is that
didn't.
for a reason? It's because I was commenting on your videos. Commenting on when people were saying they were
Look,
going to...
I'm not Facebook, my friend.
People were saying they were going to kill us. People were commenting about how they were going to kill us.
Well,
Not I've got a screenshot of it anyway.
as you can see, this is this week's attempt at intimidation and harassment. What's the flag? I don't know that one. What's the flag? Exactly. What is it?
My flag.
Your flag. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, everybody, so they want to free Palestine from Hamas, I presume, and the murderous terrorists, as we know, who put children in the front line, tell lies, want to butcher Israeli families and prevent his own citizens from having a good life.
So please don't bring bad vibes when you speak to me. There's plenty of rabbis that agree with me. It's your choice.
I can't see the guy last week that called me a fucking Jew. We're having a die-in now. This is a die-in. Okay, this is one of the 55 Hamas terrorists who was shot by the IDF, protecting families in Israel. And this is Margaret here. Now Margaret tried to accuse me of assault on the March the 17th march when she tripped over herself on purpose, knocked her own hat off, and said I had done it. And we've got it all on video. But the truth, of course, is a bit of an inconvenience to those who tell lies.
Some of the young folk more to a bit of history.
Some of these are the Revolutionary Communist Party.
Apartheid in South Africa in the 1970s
and there we've got the South African libel.
And we remember the children of Soweto in 1976 who came out
Right,
of the
this is called a
classrooms
non sequitur.
refusing to be taught in the language of the oppressors. And the world reacted
Yes, Trudy,
to
they
the
are
wholesale
lunatics.
slaughter, to the absolute injustice
Nice
and
potatoes,
imbalance
Margaret.
of hundreds of
Nice
men
potato-
with guns, of hundreds of men with guns and hundreds of children with stones and slingshots. These men should not call themselves soldiers. In a war you're facing an even enemy.
I don't think he's going to win the Eurovision Song Contest, do you?
Defined by force and defined by guns. We saw the Zionist soldiers. We saw the Israeli Defense Force use
protecting her own citizens from murderous Hamas terrorists.
They've wounded 2,000 people by deliberate shots in the leg. They suffocated an 8-month-old baby with tear gas, and we've seen the pictures. We've seen the pictures of the IDF soldiers laughing as they shot people. They're not shooting people with regret, they're shooting people with glee. And you would be surprised to find entering this horror show that is the Israeli
Thanks, Kate, thank you for that.
I've no wish to talk to you. Excuse me, officer. The officer, are you going to let him speak to me like that? I mean, he's saying he's actually ordering you to get him out.
This town in the United States and his class of millionaires, the dangers that they and the Israeli Zionists already.
So, on the streets of Glasgow, we have to be protected by the police from the intimidation of revolutionary communists and Islamist supremacists and, shall we say, gentlemen of an alternative lifestyle.
How is it possible to justify the killing and shooting of tens of people when they have nothing but a stone or a slingshot in their hands? Are you so confident that your friends
I think he's done a degree at some polytechnic in rhetoric.
And it's red with the blood of Palestinian people.
There's the blood libel, everybody.
That the people that you ally yourself with the money bags.
Hi, Richard.
That control
You've been through this in Manchester, I know.
Are you so confident that they can continue to tell the lies that they're continuing and get away with it?
Meanwhile, we're making friends with members of the public.
Know exactly what's going on. Murder is going on at the borders of Gaza, and you, Sarah, should be ashamed of yourself and should hang yourself, your head in shame for that situation.
Hi, Ida. We're now a shower, apparently.
The reason how we're having to use a megaphone here is we don't have a TV channel like Donald Trump and Netanyahu. I don't get access to
Donald Trump and Netanyahu.
My point of view, our point of view over.
He's good, isn't he?
This is our TV channel. We
Do you think he practices in front of a mirror?
Circulation newspapers. We have to stand here to make the point of view that's not coming over on the television to make that
And
clear to
everybody's
folk.
against them.
How more difficult can it be? Lines of men
Hi there, Sue.
with the most sophisticated
They're much
weapons
reduced
and
from last
rifles shooting down men, women and children, old folk, young folk, shooting them down when all they have
Men,
in their
women and
hands
children,
is
you
a
see.
stone or a slingshot. What kind of world are we living
He's not
in
mentioned
that
the
we can see
machetes
human
and
beings
IEDs
mown down
and
to
Molotov
that extent?
cocktails and
these
swords
people will not
that
take a
these
stand
people were going to
against
butcher
the
Israeli
killing
citizens
and the
with.
oppression and the murder of people in Palestine. All that stuff
Murder
on the
as opposed to
stall
defending
is just
your borders.
show. They say they're for the Palestinians, and yet they were laughing. They're laughing at this representative of one
he cared
of the
about
80
Palestinians,
people
why
who
isn't he
was shot
protesting
down
against
in
what's
the last
happening in
couple of
Syria?
months.
We said
Do
it
you
last
want
week.
us to lay a dead baby on the pavement
Hi, Ida.
to represent
Yeah, maybe,
the
maybe.
8-month-old child who died
He's now
of
getting himself
suffocation because of tear gas
wound up.
fired by their
And the
friends?
baby, of course,
Is that the kind of
had
humanity
asthma,
that you're
as we
expecting
know.
us not to have? We are against you. We're against your weaponry. We're against your friends. We're against your propaganda.
So I've now been asked to
And
take a
we'll
few
continue
steps
to
back
stand
because I
with
don't
the
want anybody
Palestinian
else to
people in
die.
the battle against apartheid in South Africa. And finally, let us remind you, when we were standing here in Dundee, Glasgow, Edinburgh and Aberdeen,
They've got nothing better to do,
campaigning against
obviously.
apartheid in South Africa. We used to have
So was I. I was
idiots
standing against
like
apartheid
yourselves saying,
in 1981.
You'll never defeat us. What happened to apartheid in South Africa? What happened to apartheid in South Africa? Apartheid
Ida, he's got a megaphone.
And your
We don't.
regime will fall as well.
Palestine! 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 Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From Glasgow to Gaza!
Oh, there's the Intifada.
To Gaza!
I find that rather intimidating, don't you? Yes.
And the Jews rule the world. I thought that you were anti-Semitic.
Zionist killers! Hands off Gaza! Get to the king!
So the Jews rule the world apparently, and that's the Intifada. Intifada is armed uprising by violence. They're calling for violence on the streets of Glasgow. And I personally find that not just offensive, but intimidating and harassing.
Zionism! Israelism!
Ida, I don't know how long they're going to stand here. What time does the football start? I've no idea.
Zionism! 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 Friends of Israel! Off our streets! Friends of Israel!
Off our street!
Friends of Israel!
Oh, now we're being told we're not allowed on the streets of Glasgow.
Friends of Israel!
So these people are telling us we have no right to be on our own streets, the ones that we pay for.
Friends of Israel!
Off our street!
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 Shalom Aleichem.
Palestine! Palestine! Palestine!
Yes, Simon, it is hate speech. I've asked the officers to be appraised of what hate speech is, and we were told, well, they'll deal with it when there's evidence of it. The usual thing.
In the last month, we pictured over 100 armed protesters on the border of Gaza. These people defend the Midway and unarmed men, women and children. They belong in the dustbin of history. Zionism, the ideology that these clowns represent.
We have a big job to do with the police, actually, briefing them and helping them, educating them about what anti-Semitism is. They don't really know. That's the thing. And we have professional organisations, as they call themselves, don't we? Community professionals, and presumably that's their role, isn't it?
Remember, people of Glasgow, anti-Semites like Winston Churchill and Arthur Balfour wanted rid of Jewish people from Britain. That was one of the reasons why they set up the Israeli state. So when these thugs accuse us of anti-Semitism, we should remind them that they have always been allied to anti-Semitism. In fact, anti-Semitism was one of their allies in the foundation of our state. We should tell them loud and clear that Zionism,
I know, I'm laughing as well.
Judaism is a world religion, and there's Orthodox
Yes,
Jews
Simon, it's a
and many
threat
other
to
Jewish
a minority
people
group. I
who
agree with that.
march loud
I think it's an
and
offence.
condemn
I
the
agree.
crimes of the Israeli state. These people
And we will
represent
report that
liberty.
as an offence.
Palestine! Palestine!
I believe that is hate speech as well. The problem is, not everybody agrees.
Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free!
People of Gaza, we stand with you. 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 People of the West Bank,
Peter York, It's been a long time.
People of the West Bank.
We saw Nick Hopkins the other day.
People of the West Bank.
We stand with you.
People of the West Bank.
We stand with you.
People of Palestine.
People of the West Bank. Strange.
People of Palestine. People of Palestine. This is an open mic for anybody who's anti-Zionist. In other words, anti-racist. To use, we welcome anybody who's anti-racist, that is anti-Zionist, to use this microphone to tell these people everything.
Right, as somebody who's worked
Oh, here we go.
at least
Here's Margaret.
several times, witnessed children being murdered, people held at checkpoints. I myself was shot by Israeli occupation. Israeli occupation forces, not defence. Occupation, as people in your style will know, because they're some of the Israeli occupiers who served in Israeli occupation forces. I'm glad you're proud, because what do you think when you murder babies and
Actually, I made one mistake. I meant to put this video in landscape, not portrait.
Ah, they're Palestinians, so that doesn't matter, does it? Exactly. You hold people at checkpoints, tear fire, tear gas.
Now we know why there are checkpoints,
illegal
because
under international law. Anybody listening?
Well, of course
tear
it is.
gas must be fired
not an
up
argument,
to
it's
come
just
down.
phrases.
The Israeli occupation forces
I know.
fired directly at human bodies. Basim was a friend of mine in Berlin. He was shot, tear gas canister directly in his chest. He burned inside
And I
out
suppose
alive.
there was
Also saw an
innocent
Israeli
protest
activist
going on.
who got 3 bullets fired at him. Right, the Israeli occupation forces wouldn't even let an ambulance through to get this young man to hospital.
Problem with this sort of
He was an
accusation is
Israeli.
you can't rebut it.
Okay,
You can
helped
say
the
anything
Palestinians, but
and
they
then
still
believe it,
denied
can't
this
you?
Israeli
This guy
to
on the
get
ground
help
is
at
doing a very
medical
good job.
centre. It's disgusting what's happening here.
I
The
agree.
people in Gaza
We
as
agree
well,
it's
when they
disgusting what's
saw
happening
tear
here.
gas canister directly at his face, near enough piercing his eye, and it's called Bollywood by certain people here. Oh, that doesn't happen. They're Palestinians. It's Bollywood. People, have a look at these people's Facebooks. Glasgow Friends of Israel. Have a look at their Facebook and see the hypocrites that they are. Even Palestinians in Bethlehem can't get to Jerusalem. They need to go through checkpoints. You have separate roads for
Well, I was in Bethlehem a few
Palestinians and Israelis.
days ago.
Can you imagine that? As a group, we
Speaking
sent
to a
people.
Palestinian
It was
who's
a
been shot
children's
by other
centre to
Palestinians for
something and
believing the
it took an
Bible.
hour away for Israelis and internationals to get to. It took us
Yeah, Mark,
6 hours to get there.
I think he auditioned for this
6 hours
post quite a
back
lot.
again.
He's done well.
Everywhere by Israeli flying checkpoints. This is a disgrace. You've got cheek to stand in the street supporting this. Israel kills their murder. Even children. And this Israeli army
Linda, don't
on
tempt
the
me.
stall today. Shame on you. You're not welcome in Glasgow.
We're not welcome in our own
Shame on
city,
you.
apparently.
And one other thing, several times, right? And I think we can safely say who gave my name to Ben Gurion authorities. Immediately, it might be funny, but I'm going back, but that's a secret only me and others know. You will see my post when I'm over there. Be warned.
She's being victimised by the
They
world.
give your names. Why? Because you're a peaceful person. Immediately arrested when I got off the plane, beaten up at the airport, get the bruises to prove it, sent to Israeli jail for a week, denied food, medication. I was taken to a doctor when the Israeli doctor heard I was a bad asthmatic. She heard I worked in Palestine. I was immediately taken away and denied all medication.
This is the same Margaret
This
who
is
was
what
lying
Israel
about
does,
being
and
assaulted.
nothing to what we do,
Margaret,
to what we do to
you tell lies,
Palestinians.
Margaret.
So shame on you. And that's because are laughing when there's a dead person lying there. It could be from Gaza. Still laughing. Shame on you.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Friends of Israel, shame on you!
Fight imperialism.
Israel, shame on you! Friends of Israel, shame on you! Friends of Israel,
Shame on you!
friends of Israel,
Shame on you!
friends of Israel.
Shame on you!
Now everyone, we've got a special speaker because we know that they murder children, and this is a significant speaker because we have a very young speaker here as well.
road
Yeah.
are concerned.
So this is what's been
Dominic, the
happening.
rising star of the far left.
Oh, the rising star of the far left. Look at this. Yeah, look at this. Look at this child abuse. That's not right. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, my word. Look at this.
Someone just ran in and started taking all your land.
That's a lie, son! When you go to the mountain like that, you're not the idiot! You're the idiot!
Let the wee man fall.
Let the wee man talk. Oh dear, 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 dear.
Palestine!
I mean, need I say anything about that? That's a social services referral coming up, surely. If we have any social workers watching, can you advise us on that?
This Friends of Israel style. This is a disgrace to all solid, genuine, human people in the world. Friends of Israel, let's be clear. Some of the people here pose with AK-47 rifles when they go to Israel. They pose with weapons with which the Israeli army shoot down men, women and children, terrorising their lives.
It's basically a far left rally, isn't it?
These are people that defend racist murder and occupation, indiscriminate bombing of a whole population in Palestine.
I think he's been watching George Galloway.
Because we're in Britain. Who's defending the
But, you know, son, you're no George Galloway.
Scotland? Surely, if the Scottish government, surely, if our own government were against racism and crimes against humanity, you wouldn't send the police officers to come down here and defend us now. You would come down
Yes,
to arrest
Josh, I
these
totally
people
agree. Using
for
a child like
racism
that is,
and racist abuse.
crosses a line.
Friends of Israel, off our streets. Friends of Israel.
Off our streets!
Friends of Israel!
Off our streets!
Right, we've got the next speaker coming up now. So I'll just hand it over.
That was not a very good link, mate. No.
I'm not I'm not an expert on the Bible, but what I want to know is, Jesus said in Revelations 28:29, I know the blasphemies of those that call themselves Jews but are not. So what I want to know is, if you're not the real Jews, who are the real Jews? At the end of the day, what I know is that I'm a true Jew. I'm an Israelite. I'm a Hebrew. And as Jesus said, you know, once you know who you are and why
This is a bit
you are
odd.
the true Jews, once you know who the truth is and what the truth will set you free, yeah? And at the end of the day, what you people who call yourselves the
What
chosen
is
people,
the point of
what you're
this?
doing
This is
to other human beings,
rather
I think
effect
that really
theology.
shows you who and what you are.
Is anybody going to clap that?
There's a gentle argument against Zionism as a racist ideology. We heard Margaret mention there that she'd flown into Ben Gurion Airport. Here's the
Can
words
anybody
that
shed
are
any
very
light on that,
clearly.
please, that's watching?
This man, who became the first president of Israel, David Ben Gurion, this man used this expression and gave direction to the terrorist squads.
You know, we shouldn't really be here giving him an audience, should we? Do you think we should just turn our backs? Why the hell are we standing here watching these bunch of morons? Why are we standing here watching these morons? That's the point, Jack. We were here first, exactly.
That was how the state of Israel was born. It was born in terror on the guns of the Stern Gun and the Irgun and the Haganah and the rest of the terrorist outfits that Israel used in order to bring itself into existence with the support of the colonial powers of Britain and Europe. We're standing here debating in an unfair way. We're standing here debating what's right and what's wrong. There is no way that I'm going to be convinced. I repeat what I've seen with my own eyes.
Hi Judith. I think we're paying them far too much, courtesy, aren't we? We should just all walk away from it.
And using the most sophisticated rifles against men, women and children with stones is justified. How can that be justified? I made reference to the fact he did it with our own ancestors here in Britain, in Manchester, in 1813 at the Peterloo Massacre, where they sent crowds of soldiers through with sabres to mow down working class men, women and children. And here we are,
working class. There we are.
Later, the powerful, the wealthy, those who have no values, justifying open murder that we see on our television. Now, I wasn't tempted in the course of this debate to say, come on, come over here, we'll hear your point of view. Because we've heard your point of view coming at the newspapers, coming at the television, coming at Donald Trump's mouth for the last 3 years. We're sick of you trying to justify
who's
the
we?
violence.
The we is this gang of, I don't know what you'd call it, collective noun suggestions.
In the Middle East, but not a peace that's built on injustice, where you turn Gaza into one of the biggest prison camps in the world.
And that's the prison camp libel. We've had the blood libel, and that's now the concentration camp libel.
No weaponry. Anyone here see a gun in the hand of the people?
No, Judith, people really aren't listening, not really.
In Gaza, any one gun?
Well,
one gun at all.
Most people are walking past.
It would have been on the front of every newspaper. It would have been on the TV
Have we heard
channel
anything
non-stop.
supportive
But
of
we
the
saw
people
not
to
one
help the people in
weapon. We
Palestine?
saw
Have
a
we actually heard
disabled
anything
fella
positive?
in a
Of course not.
We've only heard
wheelchair
things which
using a
are anti-Zionist,
slingshot against
anti-Israel.
those
That's what we've had.
and those
Exactly.
gunners a few meters from them. We heard about the child who died 8 months old.
And we've had the rich and powerful Jew trope as well.
Of young people in the legs. 2,000, over 2,000 people shot in the legs. How is the infrastructure of Gaza already broken by the conscious siege of the Zionists? How is the infrastructure
Not the south of Gaza, not the shopping malls there, or the luxury mansions, or the swimming
given
pools.
the depleted state, its economy and its welfare system and its medical system existing? And the fact is, you can go to
Well,
Israel,
I have been laughing a
or you
bit,
can
but
look
then they've been
across the
filming me, and I
border,
suppose
and these
filming me laughing. Hi,
characters
Isaac,
are
how are you?
buses
Shabbat
with
shalom, my friend.
hamburgers, while there's
Very
people
good.
being shot
Okay.
dead
No,
only
that's
a few
fine.
meters from them. What a strange ideology.
Thanks, Isaac. Appreciate
what
that.
a contempt for life. What a contempt for human beings and justice
Yeah,
they're
speak soon.
demonstrating.
Take
To
care.
even
Very
say
good.
that they're
Bless you.
friends of the
Not at
Israeli
all.
state. Would we stand for 1 minute?
That was a young friend of mine from the shul up the road. He's just come past after being for Shabbat service. Thank me for standing with my friends here against this utter nonsense.
Against the racist friends of Israel, against Zionism, with the Palestinian and Kurdish people. Thank you.
I think he's run out of
We've got another speaker,
bullshit.
somebody that's just been passing, and we want to express their outrage to these people are present, and then we put on a bit more freedom music.
Freedom. Is that Braveheart?
I've
Braveheart?
just finished.
We're going to get that, are we?
On this, right? But I've seen the sort of Israeli stand there. It's been there for years, basically. And
Thank you. It has 3 years.
I mean, you and your gang. Obviously, with everything that's all back to the UK and everything like that, but
Go on, go for
the
it.
actual tragedy that's happened here, the shooting the innocents in Gaza and the Gaza Strip.
The innocence of Gaza, the 55 Hamas terrorists he's talking about.
Nothing seems to be getting done about it. We've got
Yeah,
ourselves
when
here.
you believe the
We all need to
propaganda,
stand in
the
solidarity.
simplistic black and white
We all need to try our
worldview,
best to do
that's what you're going to
something.
think, isn't
Infuriating
it?
to see
Goodies and
that
baddies, cowboys and
people that
Indians.
just
I mean, I left that
constantly
behind at
struggle
the
to
age
try
of
and
7.
stop it. I'm not a big nationalist. I'm not into all that sort of ideologies and everything. I don't care but what's right is right. And for what I've seen basically, these were unarmed people just marching towards, trying to make a point, marching towards a border, and
Well, he's right there. Some people did want to have a peaceful protest, and fine. Peaceful protest is fine. Go to within the legal or the safe distance from the Gaza border, make a protest and go home again. Have a picnic. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But is that what happened?
To get started on the politics a wee bit, it's Netanyahu.
When I hear this sort of naive innocence, it really concerns me.
Absolute nut job. He's nothing but an authoritarian.
They go from this to Trump in no seconds.
I'm pretty sure if I'm not mistaken, this whole smokescreen is obviously just another thing to try and keep him in charge. And it's the fact that everybody plays it in his hands so much on the other side. Peace can come. Peace can actually come easily, just as long as people are willing to speak to each other about it. And there's not this constant political push to
Well, it's fizzing out now. Is the guy still on the ground? Yeah, he's still. He's probably fallen asleep, or.
I've not got much to say on this. I was just passing.
Oh, I could say more, but I won't. If in doubt, say free Palestine.
Thanks very much, folks.
Well, I feel sorry for him actually.
It's part of it. It's part
If anybody wants to use this mic to condemn the racism of this store in front of us,
It seems the way you have to speak is in things that have 3 words and carry on the last syllable like that.
genocide against the Palestinian people, a people that have been fighting.
I'm sure Cicero did a bit better than this.
Almost over 100 years ago now, 1917.
Well, Dorothy, I thought about having a microphone and a loudspeaker as well, but we don't want to copy their horrible, depressing, negative MO, really.
These people only look big when they're defended by the police.
It's the Reverend Donald Martin. Hi, Donald.
Remember, people of Glasgow, and our own shadows.
Oh, now we've got the big guns of David. The big DC is here.
Just to look at them.
David, we've had the major libels, the blood libel, the power libel, the concentration camp trope as well.
The oppressors, the occupiers, the racists, the arms companies, the banks.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Yes, we've now got Israel is responsible for crimes against the Glasgow working class. I mean, you know, that's a bit of a jump, isn't it? Who presumably use mobile phones and medical technology. You know the script. Well, we might get a mic, who knows?
For peace and justice. These people are anti-democratic. They shoot people down for speaking.
Somebody's just called me out for calling them Hamas terrorists. Well, that's what Hamas said themselves, that they were their own members.
On our streets, as long as the people of Glasgow have a conscience, as long as people in this stand for
Oh, the balloons have arrived. We're in trouble now. Ah, Matt. Hi, Matt.
La di da! Di da di da!
You're saying it wrong. It's da 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 da.
La di da!
Yeah, that's
From that Woody Allen.
But he was a Jew as well, Woody Allen. Yeah.
Off our streets! Off our streets! Off our streets! Off our streets! Off our streets!
I'm afraid Friends of Israel are going to stay on our streets. And we're going to remain here long after they've gone.
People in Glasgow, join us here and let's truly discuss, because that's what they are, it's disgusting what's happening across there in Palestine.
Is that a Cuban top, is it?
People of Glasgow, we've come together before, be it South Africa and other demonstrations. We won't have any on the streets. Why should we have these vile?
Oh, Che Guevara, there he is. I wondered how long it would be before he made an appearance. Che Guevara. He's a Palestinian, isn't he?
Wrong country.
Yes, I know kids passing by seeing dead bodies. I don't think it should be allowed either, to be quite honest. I think this is...
I did it.
I think they're dissipating, really, that they're all lying dead.
We're going to play some freedom
But
music
there again, it's street art.
Freedom music.
because we stand on the side of freedom for all people in this world. We don't discriminate. We don't murder. We don't occupy. We do not defend the freedom to
Chris,
oppress
what I
and
saw
to
was people with
enslaved
machetes
people
and knives,
But we do defend
and Molotov
the freedom
cocktails intent
to live in
on
justice
murdering
and peace.
Israeli
And
families.
that's why we're
Am I wrong?
Palestine flags today, and not the flag of a racist Israeli state.
Calling Israel a racist state? I thought that was against the international definition of anti-Semitism. So in my view, that too is a hate crime. Somebody will have to decide on that.
The guy there that called you a fucking Jew. He's right there. This is the kid.
Oh, there he is. Very good. Okay. And where's the sergeant? Yes. Sergeant, I need to go do there in a minute, Sergeant, please. The guy who was here last week who called me a fucking typical Jew is actually on the railings over there.
Starbucks and quietly show the cops and having the cake.
So I'm going to go now, guys, and speak to the police.